Hi everybody and welcome to this time lapse. So I generated the image using an AI program called Midjourney. I wanted something very classical, leaning towards the Dutch old masters. So I named this finished piece Breakfast with Vermeer. The colors are very much in that style. We've got reddy browns and creams, we've got blue, and then we've got some beautiful yellow coming through with that egg yolk and a little bit on the bread too. So I'm working on pastel matte paper. This is the dark green color. I'm only working on this color because it's what I had lying around. The size is bigger than what I usually pastel on. The size was 48 centimeters by 52 centimeters. And so I started with the background, laying in a very soft out of focus background. I've got some browns, some grays, some cream, and some goldy brown tones. And I love a variation in the background. So we've gone from dark all the way to light over on the right hand side. I love a variation in the background. I think sometimes it can look a little bit flat, so I just like to bring in a tonal difference in the background. I've done a bread a few times now, working from dark to light. Sometimes, like you can see on the jug, I will actually first put in the lightest part first, so the highlights. That's just done with a Sennelier white. I use a mixture of pastel pencils as well as pastel sticks. I'm not loyal to any brand. I use everything under the sun. As long as it's artist quality, I don't use student grade pastels. I literally only use artist grade due to their archival qualities. I sell my work. This piece has sold, so I want it to last. So you can see I haven't finished the bread. Often I don't work in a fashion where I finish off one piece of the painting and move on to the next. I tend to work the whole painting together. I just find that that's the way my brain works. It helps, I think, keeping harmony throughout the painting. That's just my personal preference, and this is how I work. When I've got pastel on every inch of the paper, I then go back in and I make adjustments and put more details in. So this is looking a little bit skew, the jug. It must be because of the camera angle, but this jug was not skew like this. It is in proportion, because if something that is man-made, and you paint that and it's all squiffy and skew, like the spheres are wrong and like this looks like it's just tilting backwards almost, it can be an eyesore and distract from the whole painting. It's kind of annoying, and I didn't really notice that when I did my demo for this, but that jug did not end up looking wonky. It is looking fine. So just try and ignore that in this it's definitely due to the camera angle for sure. Also, the lighting is really wonky on my camera. I can't figure it out. Sometimes it tends to be warm, and now we've got into a cooler phase. The first part of this is more the true color of this piece. I need to get that sorted. I don't know what that's about. So I decided the easiest way for me to tackle something that's got a pattern on it is to do the base layer first. So with the jug, I started with the cream and then I put the blue. I'm thinking about the base layer of the jug and then putting the details on top of that. So using a mixture of pastel pencils and pastel sticks. And because I knew I was going to come in with pastel pencils, I couldn't have many layers of the cream. Otherwise, the pastel pencils won't go over the top as strong as I'd want them to. So I'm working in very, very thin layers. That will definitely ensure that I'll be able to get the detail on top with pastel pencils. Why pastel pencils and not pastel sticks? Often what I'll do is I'll use a pastel pencil almost as a map. So almost like as an underpainting, I'll draw everything in where I want it to be. And if I'm happy with the way it looks, I will then strengthen those marks with a pastel stick, because a pastel stick will lay down. You can see, you can hardly see it in the shade background there. I'm going over with Sennelier's 463, which is a beautiful dark royal blue, going over the lines I initially made with a pastel pencil. So they're a great tool for like an underpainting, so that when I commit to the mark, I can do so with a lot more pigment, which I get off the pastel sticks themselves. So really important tonal value. I'm not just using one blue in this. I've got a range of blues. Back to that. This is what the color looks. It's what the painting looks. The color is more real, what it looks like in real life. Gosh, hard for me to get that out. But tonal value is so important. We've also got tonal value because we've got some of that jug that's in shade. So in the shade parts, I'm using blues that have a lot more gray in them. So, yeah, got to be mindful of that. Can't have it all looking one color blue, otherwise it's going to look a little bit flat. I'm wanting the dramatic lighting. I love lighting. I love pasteling lighting. I love artworks that have a dramatic lighting. So that is what I try and create in my pieces. So working on the tablecloth, the first go, so I laid in my darks with the dark grey. It's almost like a browny grey. It's a warm grey from Mount Vision. And then I went over with different greys and creams. I haven't used white yet on the tablecloth. But overall, I felt like the tablecloth was way too cold. It was too grey, and even though some of the shades were very, very light, that they almost look white, I feel personally, I like warmth in a painting. So here you can see me bringing in a little bit of yellow. I find that just livens it. It depends on personal style, but if something's just too grey, too cold, I think it's flat and a little bit lifeless, is how I feel. So anyway, warming up with some more yellow tones, and I just feel like that lifted the whole tablecloth, and it just was just flowing in much better in terms of the light and this warm light that's coming through. Well, it's not warm light like candlelight, but there is a general warm feeling to the piece. And it also plays nicely with, reds being opposites of blue. It's creating harmony because you've got a lot of red tones in the bread. So it created overall a more harmonious painting. You can see this in real time over on my Patreon. I'll leave a link in the description below. So here's the best part, the part I was really looking forward to. Oh, the eggs, getting that yellow yolk. I've just been so into painting eggs at the moment. I just find them so much fun. They're good practice as well to develop your tonal value, the shifts in color across a sphere like an egg. So really good to practice all sorts of art techniques. So you can see I'm using a mixture again of pastel pencils and my pastel sticks. Bringing in some really vibrant colors there. I know that I was going to layer, so you can go super vibrant and neon with your base layers, and they will still peek through, depending on obviously how heavy-handed you are with your pastels. But those layers can really still shine through, and they just create a beautiful glowing effect, which is what I wanted. So don't worry, be bold. You can be bold with pastel with your first layers, nice and bright. I'm going to leave you here now. This is coming to an end, But as I said, you can check this over on my Patreon, where I go into a lot more detail, talking you through everything that I'm doing. But thanks for watching this, and bye for now.